Welcome back to the Halloween episode of the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm just Shaps.
Are you sure about that?
I don't know.
You hesitated. Spooky season is upon us, and I got some great news from Shaps today. Tell me all about it. Tell me what happened.
Well, I'm continuing my my horror movie marathon because I never really watched like any of them growing up.
I know, isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I just watched The Thing a couple nights ago for the first time.
That's so cool. I'm happy for you because it is.
Yeah. Let me tell you,
my favorite.
I share the tradition of watching like Die Hard on Christmas. From now on, like around Halloween or on Halloween, I'm gonna watch The Thing every year.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's such a good film.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. What am I doing just sitting here?
I don't know where he went. He's getting something. Well, while you all are waiting, I know some of you have, addressed concerns about my sniffing. Just so you're aware, this is he's back.
All right. I am a Thing aficionado.
Oh, okay.
I love it. So here we have the Blu-ray copy of The Thing.
Oh,
I do support physical media. Eventually we should have a discussion about that. Mm-hmm. So this is the best way to watch it. But there's a thing that nobody knows about called The Thing video game, which is actually getting a remaster at the end of this year.
Oh, sweet.
You need to play this. Okay. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've seen like footage of it. I never really understood it, but it looks interesting.
Yeah, so in the original, it's a shooter, right? Mm-hmm. So third person, and you have up to 2 squad mates typically. Mm-hmm. And basically, as you're playing the game, you can do things that cause them to distrust you because, the thing takes shapes and forms, right? So you have to constantly prove to people that you're not a thing. The way you do that is you take a blood test. If you're shooting and you're killing things and then you accidentally tag one of your teammates, that they lose trust. There's a trust system. And like their trust in you will go down. If it goes down too hard, they're like, okay, they turn on you and they try to kill you. And then there's med kits, there's save points, and there's boss fights, and there's different creature designs. It's legit. So it's very underrated, criminally underrated for PS2. It's getting a remake. Like watch the remake trailer on YouTube.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. I'm excited. I guess my cat wants to get in on the Halloween spirit. It's only when we're shooting. Cat, get out of here. Go.
What if the cat is the thing?
Yeah. Now, that's a twist. If we made the Thing movie in 2024, it would be a cat. It wouldn't be a dog scene. I'm a hack, right? I got to do a... So, okay, what'd you love about it, though, the movie?
I think I've finally found my niche for horror movies of, like, what I actually like.
Okay, so what do you like?
It's more, like, down-to-earth, I think, like, survival. Like... I'm trying to think of like a good example. There's very few that actually hit it for me. Like The Thing kind of just like nailed it, Like I just love the tense. You don't know who to trust. It's very realistic. Like you could see yourself in this situation. It's not like
not the alien aspect of it.
Yeah,
right?
it's not like Freddy. It's not like Friday where it's like these supernatural beings, and you can't really kill them. It's like this. No, this is a really real threat that you can and kill. And I love how they put things together when you put things together, like how they're logically coming to conclusions about like how to survive or how to combat. I love how sometimes it's science, but then when the scientists go crazy, you have to kind of rely on like good old like human ingenuity. Like I love the blood test, the impromptu blood test. I was like, that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, it just all makes sense.
Yeah.
But what I love most about it is like I love movies in general where it's like all in one spot. It's all in one location,
Yeah.
So you get to kind of know the environment. The environment becomes a character itself, And then like these characters who like, do I remember all their names? They have really cool nicknames. I don't remember every single one of them. It's my first time watching it, but you get to know all of them. I don't think there was one character I was like, oh, who was that guy?
Yeah.
Who is this person?
Right.
Do we actually care about them? No. I was like, oh, there are quite a few people. I was like, okay, they're definitely gonna make it to the end. Nope.
Yeah.
just got scared.
The guy with the glasses, he has the off-screen death, and they're like, and it's just like literally like, where'd he go?
Yeah.
And then they step on his glasses. Oh shoot! And it's like, here he is. And so I was like, who? That was the only time I was like, is that who I'm thinking of? But I'm not sure because they wanted you to just know his name. Yeah. They don't hold your hand, is what you're saying. They don't hold your hand.
Yeah, you kind of have to like again, you're in the same predicament as they are. Like,
Yeah.
it's not obvious, and I kind of want to go back and like rewatch the movie with like a list of like who's actually infected at what time. You
Yeah.
know, like it's really cool.
It's good. It's good. In the blood test scene, there's something you didn't notice the first time, but you're gonna watch this movie like a ton of times. I'm gonna tell you, like you're gonna.
Right.
It's. I'm in love with it. It's been my favorite movie forever, right? Since I was like 13. Actually, I think it's. I think I said this story to you before. When I was like 8 or 9 years old, my dad turned on The Thing. And it was too scary for me because at 8 years old, it's the scene where they chase Bennings out into the cold, and they're like, "Everyone back up! That isn't Bennings!" And then he turns over in the hands, and he's like, "Ah!" That scene, just I couldn't do it. I was like, "Dad, turn it off! Turn it off!" Like Carl from the sleepover episode of Jimmy Neutron, "Turn it off! Turn it off!" And it's like, okay, and changed it.
That was great.
One of my favorite scenes in scary movie history is that scene. But that's not the best scene in the movie, but because it has such personal attachment to me.
Well, also I love that scene because it shows, again, I love how there's vulnerability. Like there's vulnerability for the humans, but there's also vulnerability for the monsters. You know, like it's not just completely one-sided. I think I really like that. It's a
really you had some support for the alien.
Not support. I'm just saying, like, I like how the alien isn't just like OP, you know, like overpowered, you know, just like it is what it is. Like, again, I'm going back to like the slasher movies I'm watching. I'm like, there's no real way to kill these things. They're always going to come back in the sequel. And like whatever they put together, it just doesn't ever work, you know, like this time it like, again, there's like a small window apparently when they first transform initially, like where you can take advantage of that. And how
can't beat fire.
Can't be fire. Yeah, exactly.
every
burn
universe,
everything.
every universe, every planet's weaknesses.
And there's a flip side. They
combustion.
have to learn that, oh, well, killing these things doesn't actually do anything. You have to burn everything. Yeah. And it's like, and when they learn that, it's like the oh crap moment, you know. What was it? I really appreciated first of all, I don't know how much you know about like cinematography, but just like it's so well shot.
Oh yeah.
And I really love I don't think it ever really used a jump scare.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'm like, that's great. That's what I've been wanting, you know, like something that's just all tense.
The blood test scene counts as a jump scare when he's like, "You're the only one who got to that blood. Well, do you last?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that counts. You know, but it's not your typical jump scare of like
in your face.
Your guy comes around that, you know, one guy opens the fridge. Loud music, you know, that just like, okay, jump scare.
Or like Evil Dead when they turn their head and they're dead eye. It's like, no, it's like they're shaky. They start shaking violently and then it's like slowly transform. Like, oof, that's crazy. I also like how they didn't like dive too far into like the sci-fi aspect. Yeah. It was very much like
body horror.
Yeah. Pure body horror. I'm like, that's great.
You know, okay, so the blood test scene where I was getting at earlier and I lost my own track. So the blood test scene, if you look in everybody's eyes, there's a glimmer. And the only person that doesn't have the glimmer is the one who ends up being the thing. So when you go back and watch that scene, look for the eye. There's like a shine, like you see a light in their eye because they're human. Wow. And then the only guy that didn't have it is the bad guy. Can you believe that movie was destroyed by critics when it came out?
No way.
Destroyed.
Really?
And like look up the reviews, dude. In fact, we could probably read a couple headlines where it's like worst movie ever.
No way.
Uncreative. John Carpenter is a freak.
I was about to say I can't believe. I was just telling you off camera. I can't believe this film didn't get like 1 million sequels.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy because I'm thinking back. There's so many things that were inspired by the thing. You know, in video games, movies, TV shows, like they'll give full credit to the thing. I'm like, what on earth could be like so off-putting about that film?
It flopped. It was a critical failure, and it ruined John Carpenter's career. He lost movie deals,
That's
like and then it wasn't until later like this is like not just a good movie, it's like the greatest movie ever.
It
decades later,
it beats and to me it beats Alien, it beats Predator, like it beats like all these like hunting movies. You know, I'm like, I cannot believe that's
like just look on Wikipedia like John Carpenter and it talks about the thing and how it ruined his career and he looked back on it, he said my career would have been so different had I not made it. You know.
Is he at least like still proud of what the cult?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
The culture, cult culture.
But by the time the cult came around, he was already kind of an old guy. So his career just
so
it's sad, you know. Because a big reason that happened was because it came out right after E.T., which is a family-friendly alien movie. And so
okay.
everyone's like, oh, alien movie, let's go see this alien movie. And it was nowhere near the same.
What
Totally
other?
different.
Do you know what other horror movies came out around that time? I'm curious.
I don't know what other.
Because like were
movies came out.
slashers in? Was it just like the supernatural stuff? Maybe like was sci-fi horror a thing? Because it looks.
I don't know.
Is it older than Alien or is it? I think it's a look. Alien was what?
So this one
First
was
one.
84, I believe.
Okay, so
and
Alien I think came out before that. What was it 79? I think.
something like that. I
Yeah.
don't know, but this is in the 80s, I believe. This is an 84 film, I believe.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I can find it somewhere on this, but
That's insane. It's
gonna take a while.
Were they all creatures? Were all critics aliens, and they just like
Yeah,
saw this as
they're-
documentation?
yeah, they were all the thing, and they
they
were
know
like,
how to beat us.
bad.
And you said there was a prequel film. I know about the prequel film. I haven't seen it.
It's got Joel Edgerton. It's got the girl married to the guy that plays Obi-Wan Kenobi. What's her name?
Wait, the
Elizabeth Winstead.
guy or girl? Who plays
girl.
Obi- Oh, sorry.
Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah.
She's in it. And there's a couple people from Game of Thrones in it. I think it's really good. The knock on it was they shot the movie practically. The studio didn't like it, so they made them switch to CGI. So
yeah, that happened to a lot of movies. back then.
allegedly, there's a cut that has what the original movie was like.
Yeah.
And then so it's CGI instead of practical, and that always hurts a film.
Sure.
Always. But I think the story's really good. They don't just rip off the blood test scene; they do their own thing. Like I think it's good. I agree the CGI isn't as good as practical, but I thought it was a fine movie.
I heard it was more of a soft remake, right?
Yeah,
Like it is a prequel, but like it's supposed to be like the thing. But
right.
I mean, at that time,
Yeah.
it was modern. But that's unfortunate. That was CGI because
Yeah.
was Carpenter behind that as well.
No.
No,
No,
so another
it's some other
different team.
guy. I thought it was pretty good. It's not as good as the original, obviously,
Sure.
but like I don't know, like you could tell they cared. It wasn't like it didn't feel like a cash grab to me. It felt like they were trying to do something. So yeah, I liked it. It gets a lot of hate though, honestly. So
Also, the first film apparently. So, isn't that funny how like the
yeah,
first film was hated by everyone, and the second film was hated because it wasn't enough or it wasn't as good as the first
right,
one.
yeah, essentially. So
It's interesting.
but no one. I don't think anyone's gonna come back and talk about the prequel the way they did the.
But I'm still
original.
like, even and again, this film is blown up. I mean, I'm very late to the game, obviously, but like, I don't remember anything. You know, there wasn't like a TV show, there wasn't like a cartoon.
Nope.
You know, there
Right.
wasn't like toys. You
That's
know,
what I'm saying.
it's like non-existent.
Mhm.
It's what I like about it, but because I'm like, oh, it came and went. You know, it did its thing and then it's done.
Mhm.
There's another film like that I remember where it's like it's such an original story and like it was only one of its kind and that's it. They never made anything more about it, but I'm glad we got what it is. You know, it still holds up so much.
yeah.
Like it looks amazing. It
Yeah.
looks like money.
There's only one bad shot, and it's bad now, but nobody would have cared back then. But it's when after the blood test scene, when the thing's head splits in half, and it grabs that one dude and pulls him into the guy's head, and then it's like they just had it.
Oh, and he's like flipping around like a
Yeah.
rag doll.
Yeah, it was literally a rag doll. They had it on a stick and they were shaking it. That was the only part that looked like not. It didn't hold up as well, but I still
Sure.
appreciate it.
Well, George Lucas, get in there and make the special edition happen. Let's do that.
He should be in charge of all special editions. There's not enough crap in front of the screen.
It just cuts to one shot of Jar Jar going, Misa, no! Misa infected!
There's like a wide shot of the blood testing. You see all these droids walk in front of the screen. You can't see anything.
Wow, it's great.
Yeah.
What we're looking at right now is truly just magnificent.
Yeah. Okay, so what else are you watching then? So The Thing, that's the big one.
I watched Scream last night, and I started watching the second one, but I fell asleep. Not because it was boring, I was a little tired, but also a good film.
Mhm.
Definitely. It's weird because it's such like it's not a parody, but it's like it's good satire of like other slasher films, but I just haven't
Right.
seen those, so not everything I understand or
Yeah.
get, but like basic tropes I understand. It's good. I don't know. I know people love this film, so I want to be careful like what I say. I never grew up watching it. I didn't think it was bad. I think it's good. you
That's
know?
it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there you go.
Watch your mouth, buddy.
I'm more scared of the comments than the killers. Dude.
No kidding.
Yeah, I already gave an editorial.
I know,
about
but
that.
now I'm giving my sound effects to that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
mean.
Just for you, buddy. Just for you, Phoebe. I think that's her name.
Wow. Yeah, it's not,
Sorry,
it's not
that
easy, is
actually
it?
hurt my throat.
It's not easy, is it?
I'm sorry.
It's a talent, Caleb.
Okay, so you are you feeling any better about Halloween in general? 'Cause
No.
You said it's not your favorite.
No, I still don't like it.
I just don't understand.
Like, again, I really just like, I like spookiness and creepiness, like I like tense stuff, but no, just not a Halloween guy. Like I don't get into it still.
Well, the more movies you watch, the more you'd be like, man, I really wish I didn't waste my younger years not liking
Maybe.
the greatest holiday of ever.
I don't know. I love a good story. That's all. And like, I've been missing out on such great genre, because like an entire genre I've been kind of like putting off for so long. But yeah, as long as it's not like, there's something I was talking to my buddy about this yesterday, and like, I don't know if I could ever get into like the ghost stuff, like Insidious or demon stuff like that. Not because it's like, I don't care what the content is. It's more just like, it's not my style. It's not like I'm interested in. I could.
Yeah,
care
ghosts
less.
are completely different.
Yeah.
I love body horror. So have you? I mean, you've seen The Fly, right? I think you'd like that.
Yeah.
No, you say you found your niche. I'm wondering. It sounds to me like you like body horror more than real. You said realistic situation. I was like, I wouldn't put the thing in realistic.
What I mean is, it felt like if it happened, this is how it would play out. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's realistic in that aspect. Like the characters are realistic. Like you could put yourself in one of those characters' shoes, and this is how you would react in certain situations. In like Scream, for instance, obviously there's comedic aspects to it, but at the very end where like the killers are revealed, they're just so insane. They're just so crazy.
Yeah.
And like I remember, I don't know any characters' names, but one of the killers, they're like, "What's your motivation?" He's like, "Peer pressure."
Yeah. That's Shaggy, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I had to rewind that. I laughed so much.
Yeah. Hold on a sec. Yeah. I can't decide which Scream is my favorite because rewatching them. So I had my ranking before we started rewatching them.
The intro to 2 was really good.
Did you watch 2?
The intro, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
like I'm like quarter through.
You know who plays the person in the intro?
Which one?
The second movie.
Well, I mean,
The movie theater scene, the main
Yeah.
girl that dies.
Oh, yeah.
You know who that is?
Mm-mm.
That's Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife. You know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's her.
That's.
She
Oh
used
my
to-
gosh, you're right. Now I'm looking. I'm like thinking about the scene.
She used to be an actress before she married Will Smith.
I knew
and
that. I
just
didn't think
started
she was in
writing off-
Scream too. That's kind of funny.
That's her. They kill her
Wow.
immediately. Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
So yeah, you rewatching the Scream franchise, you'll notice like a ton of people you never would have thought. So like
Sure.
obviously Drew Barrymore's in the opening of the first one,
Yeah.
So my ranking originally for the Scream movies was 2, 4, 1, and 3. And obviously 5 and 6 came out, so that kind of rearranged everything. But I think I like all of them now, like somewhat equally, to where it's like I may as well just put them in order now, like 1, 2, 3,
Really?
4. Like I used to hate the third one. I won't tell you why in case you go back and watch it. But I realized the third one being the weakest one, the way they address it again upon rewatching, they address the tropes that always make the third movie the worst one, and then they go ahead and do those tropes. I was like, okay, that it's kitty. It's supposed to be the worst one, because it's that it's following those tropes,
Yeah.
where it's like we have to tie it into the first movie somehow.
Yeah.
The stuff that I hated for it was like, oh wait, but of course they did that because every third movie does that.
It was meta before like meta was like
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah, before like Deadpool came in and made it boring, right? So you take like we watched the X trilogy. So there's X, there's Pearl, and then there's Maxine. Maxine, the 3 X's being in the center, like triple X. Well, Maxine followed those tropes, but it took it seriously and was like, oh, it has to connect to the first movie. Here comes her dad.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, her dad came back from the first film, and he's the bad guy this time. And I'm like, oh, like that's so anticlimactic, But then in the third one, it's like, okay, of course they do that. They actually did do that on purpose. It's easy to say like, oh, they did that on purpose. It's bad on purpose.
Sure.
Man of Steel was bad, so Batman v Superman could be worse. You know, it's like Zack Snyder intended that. Like whatever, dude. But in this one, it's like, yeah, yes, they actually absolutely did that on purpose because they addressed the tropes beforehand, and then they went ahead with the story. So I was like, okay, so it made more sense to me, and it was like you said, meta. So I don't know which one I like more. Like I want to say I like the fifth one the least, but I'm like, well, maybe upon rewatching it.
What was the latest one that just came out?
6.
Okay.
6 just
Did you
came
like
out.
6?
Oh yeah, 6 was great. So I don't know. I think I like them all equally, and maybe with the exception of maybe the fifth one, I have to rewatch it because it's the reboot with Marissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. So maybe I'll like it more than I did last time. But 6 was definitely fantastic. I love how they beat the crap out of Ghostface a lot, where it's like they're trying to get away from him, so they throw a bottle in his face. He's like, oh, you know. He takes.
So that's actually one thing I liked about, like, to go back to my point before. I like it when the villain is like vulnerable in some way.
Yeah,
and like, I've never seen and everyone says this about Ghostface, but like just a killer who just falls on everything.
Yeah,
and is like so vulnerable. To
it's just some guy in a costume.
It's like people flailing their arms and he just trips. You know, like that's really funny.
So it's such a good series. I love it. But you know, you're trying to find your niche, and which is horror. I would still say it's in the niche in general. So trying to find the niche of a niche, it's kind of hard.
Exactly.
So I can't blame you. You know? And if you don't like ghost movies, like I
guess subgenre would be the right word. But I guess body horror works to an extent. I haven't seen like a Cronenberg movie or anything. But
so The Fly.
Yeah.
I think you would like American Werewolf in London. I think you'd like that movie. There's not a lot of good werewolf movies. Talk about a subgenre.
Oh, actually, did you see the trailer for Wolfman?
No, I didn't watch the trailer for it, but I know it's coming out.
Yeah.
There's a couple movies that are coming out on Shudder, which Shudder has actually been slapping with some of these movies, because before, when Shudder first came out, it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was like, talk about a sub Netflix, you know, like we've always given crap to Netflix for their terrible shows and movies, but Shudder, I would have put Shudder in the worst above that. But for some reason, I never canceled my subscription, which was odd, because something that was, but it's like $5, and you get access to some classics. And at the end of the day, $5 a month or $30 a year, I'm not gonna miss it.
Sure.
So I never canceled that. I started it in 2020. Never got rid of it, and now they're adding some bangers on it. So Late Night with the Devil, have you heard about that one? Really good movie, and give that one a try too. I don't know if it's on Shudder. I don't know if you want Shudder, but maybe I can give you my login. But there's a movie called Daddy's Head. They also took over the VHS franchise, which I don't know if you've heard of that.
I tried. I flirted with the idea of getting into VHS, but I don't know if I could. I don't know.
Would you just start with the first one?
It's just,
or you haven't seen any of them?
I watched like a video on it, and it just does not seem like it's my thing. I don't know.
That's fair. So starting with the fourth one, I think they started being a Shudder original. So 4, 5 came out, and I think 6 just came out, and apparently they're all really good. So Shudder's been actually upping their game, because I remember in 2021 when I used to work at a jail, it was like there were some nights on night shift we just sat around and watched movies. So we logged into Shudder because it wasn't blocked.
Sure.
And we put on like one of their anthology films, and it had Clancy Brown in it, the guy that plays Mr. Krabs. And I was like, cool, he's working for pennies now. And it was bad. I was like, this is the worst thing ever. So
now, to be fair, I do love anthology films.
Me too.
I really do. I mean, I like original ones. Like I like Creepshow. Growing up, like we watched Creepshow.
Shudder did a remake of Creepshow.
Oh, really?
That's why I got the Shudder subscription to begin with.
Yeah, and then Cat's Eyes. Ever seen Cat's Eyes?
No,
that's a good one too. But Creepshow is really good. That's a Stephen King one, I think. Right? Yeah.
What's your favorite Creepshow? Is it 1 or 2? They also did a third one, but I wouldn't recommend that.
What was the one with the beach? Was that one?
The Blob?
No. It was the one where that guy. Maybe in the wrong movie. Leslie Nielsen.
That's the first one.
That's the first one. Okay, yeah. And he has the 2 people on the beach. Yeah. I like that one. That's probably my favorite. And then I love Stephen King when he's when he plays himself, or when he plays that character, like he's a farmer.
Yeah.
And he slowly turns into like a plant or something. Just classic, just good stuff.
Yeah.
The roach one always freaked me out.
Oh yeah.
Scary.
You should give the second one a try. Have you seen it?
I may have. I
Okay.
only remember the first.
That
The second one, was there something about like mannequins or something?
Okay, that's the first one. That's the only one I don't like. It's
Really?
there's a wooden Indian in a shop and it comes to life
That's
and
the
kills a
one.
bunch of
Yeah, that's the one.
that's the only one I thought sucked.
What are some like what are some from the second one? Maybe I've seen it.
The Hitchhiker. So there's the lady that runs over a guy and then he starts popping up everywhere. That's
Okay,
that's
so
one of them.
Is that like a retelling of like the Twilight Zone Hitchhiker?
Yes.
Okay.
But now it is very different though.
Okay.
The first one wasn't scary. In Twilight Zone, it's like I think you're going my way.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Are you going my way?
My way.
Yeah. And then in this one, it's like thanks for the ride, lady.
Oh.
Thanks for the ride. And then it also has the Blob, which is really good, where the kids are on a beach. So that's when you said beach, I was like, yeah, narrow it down, buddy.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And then there's this blob out in the water, and they build like a makeshift raft, and they're on it, and the blob's trying to swim around them, trying to get them. Really good. And I think I feel like there's one more, but that could be it.
Maybe I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You should give that one a try. It's I like it better than the first one personally. The first one though had a lot more visual effects. Like it had a lot better. You could tell there's a higher budget on it because there were more stories and it had like really good makeup for the zombies and stuff like that. So good stuff, definitely. Stephen King's in the second one too, but it's obviously a different character.
He's funny.
Such an interesting character.
I love Stephen King.
I hate him because obviously like no disrespect to the guy because he is like Tolkien when it comes to horror. Like obviously he started. He wrote the tropes that are in so many things, right?
No, we have to him to thank for so much.
Yes, like respect, obviously. I wish he didn't hate the movies based on his books so much. Because take for instance, The Shining. He hates The Shining. Yeah. He for some reason he really thinks any good adaptation. He's like, that's not what I wrote. It missed all my themes. It missed the blah blah blah.
It's just one of those things like crazy creatives, like it has to be their product, and that's the only like good iteration.
Because he remade The Shining with him doing his. I don't think he was in it. He might have been in it.
The TV series.
Yeah, and it's really bad. And it's like just watch the movie, man. Like the movie, people like the movie. Like if I wrote a book, if it were to be made into it, and obviously, like like I said, Stephen King is him. He started so much, everything goes back to him and H.P. Lovecraft, right? They're like the big horror guys.
Sure.
But like I don't know, like if someone made movies off of my books, man, just be happy about it. Honestly,
Well,
I would think, for the most part.
I hate to say as a creative, but like I have actually written some short stories before and I've imagined them as like film or TV series or something like that. And I've just seen so many adaptations get ripped to shreds or changed for no reason.
For sure.
I mean, think of like oh my God, who wrote Harry Potter?
J.K. Rowling.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Think of J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Like people want to change so much about like what she wrote, and I'm imagining like in that creative seat, or even George Lucas, like people want to change what he wrote so badly, even if his stuff isn't like great technically, like it's his stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about like, man, like it made sense to them and my stuff makes sense to me. But if Hollywood got a hold of it, they would try to make it so acceptable and applicable to majority, the broader audience. And I feel like it would lose charm that way. That's what the, Rowling and Lucas have, is that their stuff has charm at least because it's so personal. So yeah, I don't know if I would like, I think I'd be like, that's cool. Like something of mine, like made it to film or anything. But like, you also have to realize, I think a big reason he didn't like that film so much is how much praise it got over. Like people knew the Shining movie
more than his book.
More than a book. A lot of people probably didn't even know it was a book, to be honest. This is before he was like...
Counter argument.
Super duper famous. I think this is before he was super duper famous.
I had a counter argument and I forgot what it was.
Okay. Well, what I was just saying is this is before like he was super duper famous, at least in like the film world.
I remember.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings movies are more popular than the books.
Yes.
I mean, it just happens all the time. The Thing movie is more popular than the Thing.
But was Tolkien around to criticize the movies?
No, I'm just saying
that's that I'm talking
every
about.
Movie, every movie is more popular than the book. You know what I mean? Even Scream, I think it's Scream 4, where the Sydney just has a publicist, and then she's like, "Did you even read my book?" And she's like, "No, I was gonna wait for the movie to come out." You know what I mean? Like that's just how it is. You know, getting mad because a movie based on your book is more popular than your book. I don't think that's super valid because that's literally every movie over every book. Personally.
Wow.
Personally.
I mean, again, I would say Tolkien would probably feel very similar about the movies if he were around to see them. It's almost like, okay, imagine you made something that you are really, really proud of, and like a small but like dedicated fan base was like, this is really, really good stuff. This is a really good book you wrote, or a really good art piece you made, and someone made a movie about it, and like suddenly it's everywhere, but it has very little in your eyes to do with what you actually had in mind, your vision. It's someone changing your, like, it's impossible for someone to 100% interpret your vision as you wanted
For
it.
sure.
But like, imagine that was it. You know, like that's what is everyone knows when they think of what you made is. Like, I can relate to that a little bit. Like, I'm not saying it's I don't know, the right thing to do, but I can relate to it. Like, I'm like, I think everyone would feel that way. Very few people would be like, yeah, I wrote the book. The movie is way more popular. I love the movie. If they feel like, you know, like this book, the one I wrote, you know, is the real message I wanted to get across, you know. I feel like anime runs in this problem a lot too, is where like the manga, you know, goes into, how can it be better or worse, you know, usually than anime, but like it usually dives into so much like character detail, or it simplifies everything, and like the anime will actually like either fluff everything out, or it will just kind of cut characters out, you know, completely, you know, like, and I don't know. I don't know anyone who's like, yeah, I actually really appreciate, you know, the movie. It looks great, you know, like, I'm glad people know of it because of that. Like, it's hard.
I would say George R. R. Martin's kind of like that. Most of the people that make a book and then it turns into a movie, they're long gone. They never got to see the movie.
Sure.
C.S. Lewis, even the original TV movies, I don't think he got to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But Martin is always like, you know, if you actually, so the actual Iron Throne,
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch Game of Thrones at all?
Yeah. I
Okay.
do.
The actual Iron Throne in the show is really tiny. It's real skinny. In the book, it actually is made with 1,000 swords. Like it's up there. Like they went a guy that an ironsmith was like, here's one sword, here's another sword, and and it's like clunky. It doesn't look like a throne. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like you hate sitting in it. It's ugly to look at. And so George R. R. Martin, they said like, you know, they asked him a question to Q&A, and he's like, how do you feel about like, you know, the show not looking as good as your books? Essentially was the question. And he's like, well, if you had to do a real Iron Throne, where are we gonna build it? Where are we gonna put it? You know what I mean? Like it would take up a whole cathedral, you know, to shoot in. And we don't have HBO's willing to throw money at this, but they don't have that kind of money. Like, or why would they want to spend that kind of money?
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, and he's taken that route of, and that's where I get I just thought it was a really good opinion. He's like, you know, like, I'm just happy that they're making it at all, you know, and that it kind of goes down that way. Another inspiration for that type of opinion is Fate Zero. It's an anime. Have you heard of that one? There's Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night.
Yeah.
In that one, a bunch of people from our world today summon up heroes from the past. And one of them is Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great is, in the anime, he's giant, and he's like, you know, he goes to a library like Bill and Ted style. He's wearing human clothes, and he goes to a library, and he finds an Alexander the Great book. And the guy that summoned him is like a kid, and he's sitting with them. He's like, wait, so aren't you, like, he reads it. He's like, oh, history remembers me as a tiny guy. Alexander the Great was 5'2", you know, and so he starts laughing about it. And then the guy asks him, wait, Alexander the Great, like, aren't you mad that history remembers you as tiny? And like, you're really, in real life, you were like this really big dude, this big king. And he's like, I'm just happy to be remembered. Like, I'm happy I have a legacy at all. Like, most people don't even get this far. Like, they got my height wrong, but they remember me. They remember what I did. They remember all my great feats. Like, that's totally great with me, you know? So I don't know. I think for now, yes, there are adaptations that are bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, you know, I think Percy. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I think Percy Jackson gets a lot of flack for not being like the books.
I just don't think it was a great
Good
movie.
book to begin with.
No, I like the book. I just don't think the movie was that
Right,
great
right.
to begin with. Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying bad adaptations don't exist. I don't like any Narnia movies after the first one. I'm just gonna like I hate Prince Caspian and I hated Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I thought they were terrible.
Thank you. Yes.
And I think C.S. Lewis would roll over in his grave if he saw the second ones.
Right.
But for the most part, if they tried to do it right, and for the most part they succeeded, but they had to cut a couple things because of budget or runtime or change a few things around. In the case of The Shining, I don't know what they're missing because I'm told it's pretty close to the book, but for some reason he hated it. Like I think he has an unwanted hate for movies that are based off of his books. Honestly,
Unwarranted.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, to your credit,
yeah.
Kubrick. Well, here's the thing. This is like the problem. Is that Kubrick is also a perfectionist.
Yeah.
That's an understatement.
Sure.
I don't know if he necessarily went into the film saying this is Stephen King's story. I'm adapting. This is my story.
Sure.
So that's basically you have two big giants, like fighting each other for like vision.
Yeah.
No, but there are some directors who are like, I just love the book so much, I wanted to put it to screen. You know, like so there are some stories like that, I will say. But like again, people like Stephen King who have done so much, like I think it's just it's almost impossible for him to like anything that he didn't make, And like, is that kind of like an egotistical thing? Yes, it is. But like, that's the creative field for you, like when you've sculpted so much of like what people draw credit from, you kind of have not the right, but you almost have the right, to say like it needs to be this or it's not, Now, obviously, everyone's warranted their opinion, and he sold the rights to make them film, so it's like it's on him, I guess. If he doesn't, he's the one who keeps allowing people to make these films, so there's that criticism there. But I'm just saying, all in all, I get the frustration.
Sure.
I understand it. If they made a Third World Podcast movie,
I was going to say that. So
like a documentary or something.
No, they make a feature film.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
And then they add, but they add in this conflict of like, one, they recast me with a girl, right? And
or there was a girl in between us.
Yeah.
And it was like
yeah. I agree.
Right,
they put like drama that never happened where we're both
because that happens in biopics.
Yeah.
All the freaking time.
Right.
And like, how there's always a huge criticism with biopics that the families will come out and say that just never happened.
Yep. There's like a weird love triangle with me and Darcy, right? and this other girl that's driving a wedge between us. You know what I mean? That would be hilarious.
Right.
Honestly, though, okay. That was so funny and stupid that I would like that movie, but I agree. And that's what you mean, where it's like they added all this stuff that didn't happen. Where like there's a big scene where we fight over control of the show, where you want more sniffs, and I'm like, stop sniffing, And I was like, that never happened. I said I'm cool with it. I'll sniff with you. And they're like, hey, do you want we're making the movie here. You signed the rights to your film,
right?
That'd be funny. So yeah, maybe I would be upset about that.
So
yeah.
Again, I get your credit. I get the other side as well.
But you're leaning toward he can feel how he wants.
Yeah,
and I agree. Like anyone can feel how they want. He got his shot at making The Shining the way he wanted.
Yeah, and in his eyes, he probably says, "Oh, this is the definitive version."
Yeah, this is the director's cut. I got George Lucas's special edition for you of The Shining, but. He's always like I don't know if he directed Maximum Overdrive, but are you familiar with that one? Where like all the technology comes to life. Yeah. He was like, I just want to see Stephen King done right.
People think he was being facetious when he said that.
Maybe.
I think he was being
But I pair it with all his other criticism of the movies that he makes. You know what I mean? It's like I'm sorry. It's not like like last week when we were talking about statistically super gluing the data together. Like I think there's a reasonable link to this, but that's just me.
Sure.
That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was like, crossing his fingers. I want to see Stephen King done right. Because if that's the case, it was Goofy, and that's what he wants. He wants Goof Troop running around.
I think that's what it was. But
yeah,
okay, speaking of like these, okay, this is an actual like, egotistical creator. This is M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah. Right. So
really egotistical.
I think so. Well,
I always thought he was humble.
He's pretty humble, but at the same time, it's like sometimes like the way he directs and the way he talks about his directing is like, you just can't understand my genius. Let me explain it to you. It's like, I don't know about that. He is, and even though when you know how he puts himself in a lot of movies like Stephen King does.
Yeah.
Was it like Lady in the Water?
I didn't watch that one.
Okay, or like there's a scene where I think he's a actual like writer in the film. Like this character. And like there's this one scene where like someone is prophesying over him that he's going to create, I'm dead serious, create stories that will last for generations and generations. I'm like, okay, dude. It's just like, and then like there's this critic character who is like the villain. Like, you see where I'm going with this? You know, like
sure.
he's in his own head.
Right.
Now he's a fun guy. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
And like I really love, even though it's kind of like you know how like Shark Boy and Lava Girl, it was for the director's like kids or whatever.
Right.
But it was just bad.
How dare
so
you?
like
What's up?
what? So Shyamalan, he works with his kids a lot.
Right.
And if you
That's
watch,
how I got the Last Airbender.
yeah, if you watch behind the scenes of Old, his daughter is just so appreciative. Like, I just love how he included me. He wants to include us in all of his stuff. I'm like, that's actually really cool. How big on family. Like, in all of his films now, he has like his kids in there now. I'm like, it's just really cool. You get to do that, but he is not like. His films are like so entertainingly bad. That's what I love about him, is that they're always entertaining. They're never boring. I don't think any of them anymore are like great at all. I think one just came out called Trapped or something.
Yeah, Trap.
Yeah. I heard it was bad, but like at the same time, super entertaining. So I'm like, so I love Shyamalan films because they're super entertaining. The same way I love Stephen King when he tries to do
a movie. He wants his movies done right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Let's see. We watched Signs again recently.
Yeah.
And the Shyamalan dialogue was still there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it was, when you're a kid, you don't notice. You're just following the beats of like,
this is the coolest thing.
This is an alien. Like, oh, look, look how subtle they were. Right. Like, you know? and then you realize that one of the central characters, the guy that ran over the pastor's wife, is Shyamalan. You're like, why is he in this? And like, he was good enough in the film. Like, he had a good enough performance.
Sure.
But like,
that's distracting.
Yeah. It's like, I watched Peacemaker with Maddie last year when we were dating. And I let it slip too early that the main girl, Halcourt, the main agent girl, is the director's wife.
Yeah.
And so she was like, well, great. Anytime there's a close-up of her and she's looking pretty, she's like,
That's fine.
So, yeah, I don't know. But, like, in some cases... So you're right. It's like an ego thing where he's like, I'm a great director and writer, but I'm also a good actor, right? So yeah. But then you get people that are like, well, we can't afford a cast member, so I have to do the thing. Like Ben Affleck has wrote, directed, and starred in movies that he's done, and I respect that. That's a lot of work. Same thing with what's that dude's name? The guy that did Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He did Don John. Have you seen that? Really good movie. Same thing. All three roles he did. Right. Wow. Fantastic. Then you get, of course, the classic Tommy Wiseau, who did everything, and it's bad. But and that was definitely an ego thing, like 100% an ego thing. So yeah, I can see that. Was he in The Visit? Did you watch The Visit?
I watched The Visit. Yeah.
Okay. Was he in it?
Oh, he may have been.
Yeah. I never watched it.
He was in Old. I feel like he's got to be somewhere in The Visit. Like, he's in all of his films.
Yeah, he was in Split.
I feel like, honestly...
Was he in Unbreakable? I'm pretty sure he was in that.
Never saw that one.
Okay, me neither.
I feel like he... at one point, like, when he's retired, he'll come out and say, just so you know, this was the same character in every single film.
Yeah.
And he's like this omnipotent being, who's just like the watcher.
He wants to be Stan Lee so bad.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Like he wants to be I think I know that guy.
Did you ever watch Devil? That's one of his earlier films.
Yes, but he only wrote that one. He didn't direct it.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
it's really bad. It has his
writing all over it.
He's like, the devil's in the room. What? This morning, I buttered my toast and I dropped it. Yeah, and it fell face down.
And that means the devil's near.
Yeah. And I was like,
So what I love about that film is that like they try so hard to make you believe it's not supernatural for like the first half of the film, but the very first like 10 minutes proves that it's supernatural.
Yeah.
So it doesn't like always goes back and forth. And I hated that twist ending where it's like, oh, it was one of the dead people.
yeah.
I'm like, no.
I remember
Cop out.
we watched that first as a kid. And we were like, okay, so the last person standing, we're like, oh, that's the devil.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it was just one of the dead people. I was
It's
like,
like, dang it.
yeah. It's like, why did we even bother guessing?
Twist.
Yeah. I think he was trying to rip off the Saw twist. Did you watch Saw?
Oh, yeah. You're talking about when Jigsaw gets up at the end.
Saw's the dead guy. I think that's what he was going for.
Probably.
Unfortunately, I had that spoiled for me by my older half sister, where she's like, we were talking about scary movies when I was a kid, and she's like, Saw's good. At the end, it's actually Saw. And so when I watched it as an adult, I was on the edge of my seat, and unfortunately, I already knew that it was Saw at the end.
Yeah.
But the whole movie, I was like, man, if I didn't know that, that would have blown my mind.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know?
Yeah, I'm sure it blew everyone's mind.
Yeah. You know, and then, but no, I had it spoiled.
That's unfortunate.
I felt all the build up, but then when we got to the twist, I was like, I'm already ahead of it.
Okay, with the short time we have left, let's go back to the thing real quick.
Sure.
That reminds me. The ending. What's your interpretation?
I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure Keith David's character, he, let's see.
Your interpretation, not necessarily what a writer or director said.
I was going to say, because he changed, when he ran off to chase after that guy, he had different clothes on, but then when he came back, supposedly he has different clothes. Like the thing took over him and he had to put some more clothes on. I don't know how accurate that is.
Sure.
But I'd like to think, like I said, I never actually went back and like, he's wearing different clothes.
Yeah.
Myself. But I'd like to think they're both human.
I kind of got that too, honestly.
Yeah.
Or you could view it as it's a very kind of somber moment. Because they're both like, I mean, they both even say like, we're done.
Yeah.
You know, I almost interpreted that as other guy was the thing and they're both just saying we're done, you know, like, or it is what it is, you know, like we're just going to, we both fought, you know, like our brains out, you know,
Or like,
and we're just like,
we've
both,
reached an impasse.
Exactly. I actually really like that ending.
Yeah.
Not necessarily knowing which one is the thing, but like one of them is the thing. And they're just kind of being like, let's share a drink together.
Yeah.
You know, like we're, you know, because the thing is super intelligent. People kind of like, I don't think people really talk about that much. It's like, it's intelligent enough to hold conversation to intimidate or imitate exactly, you know? So it's almost like, what if it did, it's smart enough to create a spaceship, you know? It's like, so it probably would have that kind of like relational, you know, and especially if he was a thing for a while, who knows?
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. So he's just sitting, they both just like, I showed you my final form and you blew it up. And then the human, he's like, you know, hey, I've used up all my tools against you.
And because like both of them are screwed. Like transport's gone, you know, like the ship blew up. So it's like they're both screwed. You know, it's like there's nothing more to fight about, you know. I like to think that there's a little bit more deepness to the thing rather than just I want to eat everyone and that's it. Right. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of like Starship Troopers in a way.
I like all the super technology in that film. Like he's playing the chess master and it beats him.
Oh yeah.
Or the supercomputer, Wilford Brimley's character. It's like, you know, calculating when the thing would take over the whole planet. 8 days.
Like, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's funny.
That was like I was like, man, we need that kind of AI. Chat GPT slacking.
That's good cheesiness. I want to actually type that in now.
Right. Give that
I didn't know that was Brimley, by the way, until the credits. That's kind of interesting.
He didn't have his classic mustache. He wasn't talking about his blood pressure.
I always knew him as I never knew him as like an actor. That's crazy.
What?
Well, like I never watched any of his films or recognize him.
Yeah, that's what he does, right? Is act.
Well, I know, but like I couldn't think of anything because you always think of him as like the diabetes guy. So thank the internet for that.
I wasn't afraid to die because I knew that was coming either way. I'm here to talk to you about diabetes.
Oh gosh, I want to watch this film again already.
Dude, I can't believe you hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
If I had known you were gonna like it, I would have showed it to you years ago when we met.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd have been ready though.
No.
I don't know. I think this podcast has changed you.
Yeah.
Changed you.
Yeah. For the better and the worse.
And Yeah. Talk about that movie that's being made. I got all this material for you. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we do have 10 minutes left. We talked about our favorite Halloween tropes,
Yes.
favorite traditions. We went to a haunted house yesterday, by the way.
How was that?
It was okay. We went to After Dark in Plano.
Oh yeah, this is the one you invited me to.
Yeah, and it was good. Like the sets were fantastic. The props great. The sound effects amazing. Music was fantastic too. There was one part where a ghost is on top of like this really tall structure and it's going like this, and all you see are the hands going like this, like King Ramsey, and then you just see glowing eyes, and then it's like a rave where you see like a bunch of like moving dead people, and it felt like a rave. And I was like, that was pretty cool. Like the production value was great, but nothing really made me scared.
What do you think makes or breaks a haunted house? To me, it's the actors.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of the actors were your generic and then they go back to the hiding space. You know, and you hear them every 15 to 20 seconds.
God bless
right?
you, volunteers.
Yeah, but there was one we went to in Bedford, and I can't remember what it's called. But there was an asylum section, and there was one part that was like a chain winding maze, a chain fence winding maze, where you have to walk through this part and then walk through. But you can see all the way down, but it's a chain fence breaking up every little path. Yeah. And there's a psycho there with a knife, and they're on one side of the fence, and then as you have to go around to it, he backs up to the other one, where it's like, you know, the closer you get to him, the more he has to back up, but he's there the whole time chasing you. That was scary, you know? So what makes or breaks it? Yeah, I would say the actors, because it's not the props. The props were really good, but like it, you know, I wasn't scared. But the actors, yeah, like it just depends on who you get, because I'm sure every year they have to cast people and they have to hire people, and maybe some years they don't get that very talented people doing it.
Majority of the time, as far as I know, it's like all volunteer based.
Yeah,
depending on where you go, but a lot of them are. So, but it's like people who love it. But I remember kind of like how, like, you know how the Ren Fair, how a few years ago, all like the old guys kind of like died off or they retired, you know, and they had the new blood come in, and sometimes it was like good, sometimes it was bad, sometimes there was like no one at all, you know. Like nowadays, like I think there's just like those periods of time where
transition.
like transition pains, you know. Like I would like to see, I don't know if I would. We talked about this before. I don't know if I would go back to a haunted house again, but I'd like to see, you know, where there are now, you know.
Talking about Scream, I think it's called Screams.
Yeah,
the Ren Fair, they do their Screams festival every. Yeah, I want to say we went 2 years ago, and it was still pretty similar.
Okay,
but that was 2 years ago. Maybe that was. I don't know. When did they transition? Do you know?
No, I forgot, but.
I don't think there is anything that makes or breaks it.
I think COVID probably did a lot of damage, but
for sure. But I want to say we went in 2018, 2019. It was like it was fine.
Yeah,
you know. But I've only been to one haunted house where I was like, that was scary. The parts that made me the most tense were when you're walking and there's several like windows, and you know something's gonna come out of one of these windows, so you're bracing for it. A good jump scare will get me. A good jump scare will freak me out. So, yeah. Let's see. I also like strobe lights. When there's a strobe light and something's crawling after you, but it's like in a strobe light where every time it flickers, it's closer to you. That's pretty scary. Then there's also like every haunted house I think should have a room where there's fog and it only goes up to your waist, and then you see somebody, you know, further ahead of you coming out. That's kind of cool. I like that. So it just depends. I don't know. There's no perfect haunted house, unfortunately. So there's like one. I'm told, I've heard stories like 5 or 6 years ago where there's haunted houses where they'll chase you with chainsaws and stuff like that, where you have to actually run away.
I mean, I was part of one like that. It's like the tail end where they have a chainsaw guy chase you.
That's in Screams, right?
No, that was a Hangman's.
Okay, cool. Because Screams had something like that. Hangman's. Where's Hangman's at? I forget.
They moved locations recently.
Okay.
I want to say it was in Grapevine, but could be wrong.
And then what is the one that's in Fort Worth? It's with the giant ogre on top going like this.
Not Cutting Edge?
Cutting Edge. Thank you. Cutting Edge. I can't remember the name. I keep wanting to say Shavers or something. Cutting Edge. I like Cutting Edge a lot because at the end, you've been to that one? At the end of that one, there's always like a room where they do like a mini concert type rave. So there's guys dressed as skeletons doing rock music and everybody's in the pit. That was kind of cool. Then for some reason, every haunted house, the clown section is 3D. For some reason, they you gotta grab your 3D glasses before you go in, and it's like, why? Why do we have to hurt my eyes during my favorite portion of scary, which is clowns?
Yeah, at Scarsborough, they actually have a kind of a haunted house castle tour. Have you been to that?
Mm-mm.
It's pretty cool. Outside, it looks like it's kind of like a small, like maybe 3-minute exhibit, but like it's actually super deep and like there's a lot of so it's like, I don't know, $10 or something. You go through and basically it tells a story of like this witch or something, and it goes on. It feels like it goes on for a long time, and just like you keep on thinking it's going to end, but it just keeps going longer and longer and longer. And I think there are some actors in there too sometimes, but that's actually some pretty good stuff because like it's unexpected. You think it's going to be like really quick, but it goes on for a while. That's pretty effective. But yeah, no, not my thing. Not something I go crazy over. I know some people that lose their minds over it. They're like, we have to go every single year.
To the haunted house.
Yeah, to a haunted house. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, if they're all going to be okay.
Yeah.
But like maybe it's just not my thing. Like maybe it's like you're finding your niche. Like I like all things horror, but haunted houses really just don't do it for me.
Yeah.
I've been to several. Like in theory, they're a great idea. Like that sounds like something I would eat up. But I
just don't maybe I'm with you. Easily in person. It's weird. Like even in like real life, when something happens, I'm not a panic guy. Like I don't scare that easily. Unless someone's like deliberately trying to do something, like they know I'm afraid of. But other than that, not really.
Yeah. I mean, the worst part of any haunted house for me is the people that chase you in the parking lot, or like as you're walking up and they're like,
the obnoxious people. Yeah.
I'm like, will you just go away? What's that Smiling Friends where what's his face? He's in hell and that thing goes,
oh yeah, I told you Jeremy or something.
Yeah, I told you not to do that. I told you I'll
punch you.
Yeah, yeah. That's what it feels like. Those people at haunted houses.
That's so
yeah. I don't know. But anyway, I think that's it for today, guys. I think that was good. Happy Halloween.
Yes.
Hope that really fit y'all's scratch that itch in the spooky realm for you.
Yeah.
No, I'm not dressed the part and there's no decor. This drink is orange. So
wow.
Happy Halloween, guys. See you next time.